Hello, in this video we're going to be running through the prep recipes section that can be found under recipes and menus. Before we get started, I just want to clarify once more the difference between prep recipes and the prep section that can be found under operations that was covered in the previous video. So under operations and preps here, we're discussing our mise en place, which is essentially ensuring that we have enough of all items or ingredients to complete a day's service. So ensuring that we have enough sources in the right form that we usually stock them in, let's say bottles, so we have enough bottles of sauce for service, we have enough patties of meat for service, and so on. So that's what this section focuses on, ensuring that we have enough of everything for an entire service, so it includes all items, all ingredients. Whereas under prep recipes, which is what we will discuss in this video, we're talking about individual items or ingredients that need to be created to be fed into our preps and into our dish recipes and are part of assembling our eventual menu item. So we're talking about the one or individual ingredients here and how we're going to create them. So from the standpoint looking here, we can see that we have our prep recipes organized by category. We thought that this would be the most intuitive way for you to organize your recipes rather than just throwing them onto the one page. So you'll notice that before you jump in, you'll have a chance to create a category. As you can see here, we have a few preloaded categories and you can see the number of prep recipes within them. And you can choose to customize this and chuck your own category in by clicking on the top right corner and then naming the category and chucking in a photo for aesthetic purposes, as you can see here. We won't create one since we have a few examples loaded up, but that's just an idea about how to do it. Also noting that if you already have a pre-created category and you want to jump in, you can actually jump into creating a prep recipe from here and then it will automatically populate into the category. But let's do this step by step. So going into one of our prep recipes categories, let's go into sources. And as we can see here, we're probably dealing with a sandwich or a burger bar. I've got quite a few sources to pick from. And before we jump into a preloaded example, if you want to create a recipe, simply go into the top right corner, clicking on plus new recipe, entering the name of the recipe. So let's call this beetroot sauce. Given its category is sauce, it'll auto-populate into this category. And as mentioned previously, if you decide to do it from the front page, you just simply have to choose the right category for your prep recipe to go into. Now, as you'll also see, that it's actually auto-recommending certain items. And that's what happens once the Risto platform has actually been populated with your supply baskets and other areas such as food recipes and so on. So it's actually recommending it to us. It's noticed that we're in a food section and wants us to see if we can pick from the list of pre-populated items. Given some beetroot sauce, let's go with beetroot as an item. And just for this sake, we're going to go with a quantity of 1 and maybe a gram is required for this particular recipe. And it will tell us now what the cost is, right? But let's say we had an item that we didn't have the cost of. So let's go strangely, you put a beetroot bun in a beetroot sauce. So that you say the quantity is 1, and again, let's say roll, and it's going to say Y. Again, this is not an apt example, it's just an example, but this is an example showing you how you can actually create conversions and store conversions in the system. You may recall that when we were doing our supplier baskets, I actually referred to the possibility to enter in conversions at that point. So different from the unit of measurement that you receive from suppliers, but actually how you store the item in your kitchen or in your restaurant. This is where it can be done as well. So you're actually being prompted to enter a conversion here. If you click Y, it's going to ask you how many rolls are in 1 unit of beetroot bun. And because it doesn't know the conversion, you'll just say 10 just for the sake of it. And it's going to calculate what that means. So it's giving you costing, and then below here you have an opportunity to put in how much you've actually produced. So let's say you've produced 20 kilograms of this sauce, and that gives you 1 portion. And then you have a further breakdown here where it's auto-calculated based on everything that's put up here, based on what's in the supply basket. This cost info has been updated, so your total cost, your cost per kilogram, your cost per portion is all there. You also have the opportunity to input further instructions, and that can be done here as well if you require. So I'm not going to save this right now. It was just an example of how to create a recipe. If we go into something that's already been pre-created, so let's go to aioli. You'll see the same as what we just ran through. the title, the category, the ingredients, the quantities for the ingredients, the units, the cost, because these conversions have now been set by whoever's put them in, and then the quantity is produced, the portion, and then the cost info based on everything here, based on what's in the supply baskets, is spitting this out for you. As you'll see here, also in the saved option, you can actually drag in an image to be complementary to any instructions or ingredients you've added in here. So you have the option to add in an image as well to see, maybe show how you would like it to be presented or the consistency of sorts. So that's just pretty much how you create a prep recipe. This is just for sauces, but if we go back, it can be done for meats as well. As you can see here, how do you create, maybe you're making raw meats on site, or you're pre-producing and putting them together. You have all the ingredients here again as well, and it's the same system. So that's how you create a prep recipe. It's about creating your individual ingredient items that will feed into your eventual dish recipe, and it's also another opportunity to store conversions of supply items if you haven't done it above in your supplier baskets. Thank you.